Welcome to Battles on the High Ground. This video was made to share with you some of our experiences, mishaps and joys of hawking in the Scottish Highlands. Over the next hour you will follow us through some of our highlights from the last few hawking seasons. Here you will see we are doing some fitness training with Moose, a first year female golden eagle. As with all falconry, we try to ensure that our birds are as fit as possible before entering them onto quarry, as an unfit hawk will become despondent if put on hard, fast quarry, such as hares. It's also a good opportunity to get them used to the 21st century way of hawking. We are preparing a roe deer lure to aid us in fitness training and to improve footing ability. During the course of the initial training, we will use hare, rabbit and fox lures, towed behind either the Argo cat or a quad bike, reaching speeds of up to 30 miles an hour. As the bird improves, we are able to jink the line from side to side to simulate quarry movement. The lure we are using is a skinned out roe deer, with the meat from the head and the top of the neck left on. This is to encourage the bird to hit the head of the quarry so as to overpower it as quickly as possible. As you can see, her inexperience means that her first hit was to the middle of the back. If this were for real, it would mean her getting kicked off, so we simulate a rough ride. As a reward for her efforts, she is fed from the head of the quarry, again to reinforce the importance of a headshot. As a comparison, here is our 7-year-old male golden eagle, Cappy, getting fit for the new season. His aim is slightly better. Once again, he is fed from the head and neck of the quarry before being traded fairly with a reward offered to him on the fist.
Rabbit hawking is the mainstay of our sport in the southeast, either flushed out with ferrets or dogs. Here we have Matt with Sky, a 7-year-old female Harris hawk, who is a very accomplished rabbit and hare hawk. We occasionally get the opportunity to fly at ducks and moorhens, found with the help of our willing spaniels. However, this particular duck knew she was safe as long as she stayed in the water, so we had to be content with catching a moorhen. This is my 6-year-old female goshawk taking on a pheasant at the other end of the field. Unfortunately for the pheasant, it decided to run rather than fly. Once again, we let her take a reward from the kill. Ferreting on the edge of a hedgerow can be great fun, with short, fast flights, but it helps if you pray before you slip. This rabbit bolted behind me, so providing a nice long slip for the goss, with a more than fair head start. Here, a first-year female Harris tries hard, but shows her inexperience. Squirrel hawking can be great fun, especially with a team of Harris hawks, but you do have to be careful, as a squirrel can inflict a nasty bite on a bird's foot, or a falconer's finger. With the season halfway through and our fitness preparations complete for both bird and falconer, we make our yearly pilgrimage to Scotland for some exceptional mountain hare and rabbit hawking. Occasionally the weather has a different agenda, sometimes forcing us to stay in the cottage for days. That is, if we can get into the cottage. Each morning the birds are weathered and weighed before being taken out into the field, always ensuring that they'd cast first. This is Steve with Jock, his 9-year-old male Harris hawk. When the wind picks up, we always try to produce a downwind slip for the birds, but it can hamper the birds' agility, especially for the larger eagles. Due to the terrain and the amount of warrants, the rabbits don't have far to run before they're in and safe. In situations like this, we stand closer to the warrens than normal to give the birds a chance. This produces a fast, dashing flight.
There's a hole there then, Sam.
As demonstrated here by the lads, it's always advisable to have your slipping order in place before you start ferreting. I'm sure if this little fella knew there was a golden eagle behind him, he might have run a little faster. This shows that if a bird is not used to working with dogs, just how easily they can be upset, even if the dogs are on leads, although not behaving particularly well. At the end of a successful day's hawking, we always clean our rabbits in the field, with the buzzards waiting overhead for our departure and an easy meal. With the partridges not always being as easy to spot as these, we occasionally let the birds take a flight on spec, but the partridges proved to be too strong. And at the end of a cold day in the snow, everyone looks forward to getting thawed out. Here Jock is using the wind to his full advantage and trying to get back on terms with the rabbit. Although we persevere, the wind and snow can end your day early. This rabbit was a little closer to the hole than the goss or I thought. The dogs always play an invaluable part in the team, but have to be 100% trustworthy with the birds. Here we have Keith with Flash, his first year female Harris, who proved herself to be a very efficient rabbit hawk, but as you'll see later in the video, was not keen on blue hares. Often a moment's distraction in the field can result in a missed opportunity and a disappointed hawk due to bad slipping. However, the goss on this occasion made up for my delay. Being an experienced bird, she's normally aware of fences, either going through or over them, but not on this occasion, and luckily with no injury sustained, she makes short work of the next slip. In this clip, the rabbit makes a fatal mistake and trips. As with all field sports, falconry for me is no different in regard to the respect and admiration we hold for our quarry, especially the mountain or blue hare. One of the most amazing traits of the blue hare is being able to avoid wing predators. I guess this is due in part to the fact that they are constantly being hunted by wild golden eagles. We often see these birds whilst we're out flying on the hill. When hunting blue hares, the hardest hare to catch is one that is merely trotting away, or standing still, as they watch the bird and employ one of their many evasion tactics right at the last moment, with them being a little easier to catch when running at full speed. As demonstrated here by Keith and Flash, not all birds are keen to hunt the hares in their winter colours, despite receiving lure training and being fed from a dead hare. On the other hand, most of the birds we have flown at blue hares have needed no encouragement. Here the footage is not so great, but it demonstrates the hare's superb manoeuvrability in the way that it avoids capping. Without viewing moose in slow motion, you tend to miss the twists and turns of the hare. This hare avoiding Steve and Rosie, an 18-year-old female redtail, makes a classic hare manoeuvre by turning and running uphill. Mountain hares use holes, unlike brown hares, but these are not always visible until the bird misses. Unfortunately, the bird striking the hare is not always the end of the hunt. This was Rosie's first ever blue hare, so once she had it, she wasn't letting go, even though she fumbled her footing. In situations like these, the priority of the falconer is to get to the quarry as quickly as possible to dispatch it efficiently. However, this is not always as easy as it seems. With the bird exhausted but unharmed, she is given time to rest and enjoy her reward, which was as much as she could eat on this particular hare.
Yes! Me first there.
Before the outcome of the flight is known, the falconer is in pursuit of his bird in order to assist should there be a kill. With the bird spotting the hare before the falconers, bad slipping ensues, giving the hare the upper hand. We occasionally use our dogs on the hill to flush the hares from the thick heather, although the use of dogs may be more of a hindrance than a help, as they can force the hares further up the hills. As with brown hares, sometimes the blue hares sit tight, and if spotted, it enables us to engineer the slip so as to encourage the hare to run downhill.
Keep going up, keep going up, keep going up. Right, Daryl, make a loud noise.
Hey, 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 hey! Hey, hey! Hey, hey, hey! Hey! Hey, hey!
Here we have Greg and Shadow, his first year female redtail, catching her first hare, with Greg in hot pursuit. Here Moose is concentrating so much on her feet, she forgets to keep flapping. With the experience of a few years under his belt, Cappy looks for lift after missing, so that he may continue the pursuit. With Sky spotting something, Matt allows her to have a flight on spec. Even though she misses on the first 2 attempts, her experience and persistence pays off. As the bird's fitness and experience increases, they take on longer and more spectacular flights. Not so good for the vertically challenged falconers. With the lads taking a rest in the heather, it's the perfect opportunity to let Cappy stretch his wings. As the wind picks up, it enables him to achieve a good pitch. As Cappy continues to gain height, I work the hillside in the hope that I can flush a hare for him. The falconer's cry of hay is given to draw his attention to the fleeing quarry. And down he comes. This is the same stoop, but viewed from a different camera angle. This is my goss, suffering from the same problem as Keith's harrisawk. But eventually, she realises that they are for chasing. And catching. Just to prove that size isn't everything, here is Jock, a £1 7 male harrisawk, taking on an £8 blue hare. One of many he now has to his tally.
Again, the old girl.
This is Jay demonstrating that it's always useful to have bells, telemetry, or both on your birds, as it's amazing how they can disappear into the heather.
got it.
Oh, sorry, Roy, he's doing my head here.
And she laid her hands on me.